Hey again from the garden, it's Christina from Sunshine and Flora. So as you saw in the beginning of this video, we moved my greenhouse. And that was my dad and I in that video, if you couldn't tell. But I want to take you out to the new spot where the greenhouse is located and show you how we fastened it down to the concrete and secured the whole structure. But the greenhouse was previously located right behind me in the original garden space. And we moved it for a couple reasons, not because it didn't work good here, because it really did. We moved it because, for one, I think it'll be better to access from out there, and it will just go with the area a lot more. And also, I really wanted to take this space back to just a dedicated growing space. You know, as I'm evolving as an urban flower farm, I'm realizing I need as much growing space as possible. And so I think this big planting area is going to be much better utilized if I'm able to just make rows with pathways to get as many plants in here as possible and not have to work around the actual greenhouse structure. So I want to take you out and show you that. And then I also have a couple garden updates that I want to share with you too. But first, let's go out to the new greenhouse location. All right, so here is the new greenhouse location, and you will see it just makes a lot more sense to have this out here. I don't grow in ground in the actual greenhouse. We basically use it to transition seeds when I'm hardening them off. I keep annuals in there in the spring and then kind of just use it in the summer for various plants and things like that. So putting it on the concrete, I think, will keep it more structurally sound and also cleaner, but it just goes with the space out here a little more. And I'm sorry it's kind of part sun, part shade, but you can see this is my whole raised bed area, the new growing space, and then the hoop house is down there. So this whole area, I think, just works really well together now with the pathways and now with the greenhouse. So before I show you how we actually fasten this down, I should mention this is the Outsunny brand. It is a 6x10 hobby greenhouse. The panels are plastic, not glass, so I have had problems with them blowing out. I have started replacing them one by one as they blow out with the same thickness but stronger panels, but I also think how we have been stabilizing this will help with them not blowing out also. So to stabilize the greenhouse on the concrete, we have it bolted into the cement on all four corners. And my dad used these brackets, and I apologize that I do not know what they're called, but you can see it's fastened into the greenhouse and drilled right into the concrete. I do know that this is a 3/16 inch bolt, but this will really keep the corners stabilized. And then also we stabilize it on the inside, so let me show you that too. First though, going into the greenhouse, you'll notice some wood around the door frame. My dad took some 1x2s or 1x4s maybe. I think this is a 1x4 and that's a 1x2. Anyway, he reframed out the door because this was a sliding door. And then now I have a nice toggle to open it, a toggle latch. That's a technical name. And then it's able to latch shut where it was just a slide door before and it would catch in the wind. So as you can see, we already have the greenhouse tables, which are in here that my husband built, which is really nice. My daughter has her little chair in here. The back wall, I plan to make solid plywood because there's enough light coming in, but I would like to put a shelf along the back somewhere to set some pots on. And then my dad framed in the base of the structure with 2x4s. The middle of the side walls would always flex in the wind, and I think that aided in the panels blowing out. So he took 2x4s, framed it out, but then there's also an anchor into the concrete in the middle of the wall on the inside. So these walls are not going to move at all, and this greenhouse should be very structurally sound now. So I am super happy with the placement of this greenhouse. These strawberry beds are going to be moved back in front. I'll have more raised beds over here once we can move all that lumber out of the way. And like I said, it's just going to really fit in with this growing space beautifully. So the other spot in the garden that I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update on is this raised bed. This bed is the very first one that I planted anything in on the outside of this building. I had zinnias growing in here to use for photo shoots even before we tilled up this entire empty lot and before the fence was here. Now I have since then been really working on the soil. I had dirt put in here to start with just because I didn't know, and dirt is definitely different than soil. So I've been really trying to amend things to get it to be a better growing medium. But this bed, because it is about 6 to 7 feet deep, it's really hard to harvest out of, because while I can stand in this pathway and lean in about 3 feet or so to harvest, it's up against the building and I can never quite harvest very good from the back. So this is going to be my new peony growing area. And the reason I chose to put my peonies here is because I harvest those one time a year in May, and I think I can easily get in here in the landscape fabric, harvest the peonies, and then in the very front here, I can grow a row of something that doesn't get quite so tall and easily harvest that from the pathway. So you can tell I have some landscape fabric already laid down, and you can see where the dirt holes are where I have planted the peonies. There's 16 peonies in this area already. The reason I don't have it finished is because I ran out of landscape fabric, so I have some ordered. It should be here actually later today. So tomorrow I will be planting the rest of those peonies, but I am really excited to better utilize this area. This will become, you know, a perennial patch, annuals in the front, and I think it just makes a lot more sense. And then the center of the garden where the greenhouse came out of, I will easily be able to plant, you know, my specific rows, make my pathways, and really get the most out of that planting space. So the last area I want to update you guys on isn't so much a garden update, but more of a building renovation update. You notice these black tarps that are down on the ground next to me? These are concrete blankets. I went to a construction supply store this morning, picked these up. I think they were about $110 each. They're a 12 by 25 foot concrete blanket. And the reason these are here is I am trying to keep the ground from freezing. So my plan is to line the exposed walls of the perimeter of the building, which would be this north wall and the east wall. I'm going to cover the ground and then go up the side of the wall a little bit. And I'm trying to insulate the ground in the building because after the first of the year, we're going to be starting construction in the basement to rebuild the foundation. And we need to maintain that basement temperature to 40 degrees or above to be able to pour those concrete walls. Now, this building hasn't had a heat source in like 25 years, so there's nothing to heat the basement. Yes, I could take supplemental heat sources down there, but regardless whether I do that or not, insulating around the perimeter of the building is going to keep that heat in. So I have 3 of these blankets. I have 2 of them down on the north side. Yet today I still need to lay the one around the east side, and then I can check that project off my list. Okay, so that's going to do it for this video. I just wanted to hop on here and give you guys a greenhouse update. I had posted a picture of this area on my Instagram and got quite a few comments, and so I wanted to share it with you guys on YouTube too, and then also give you an update on the peony planting area and of course the building renovation. But stay tuned for a lot more updates coming up. I think I'm going to make a playlist for just the building renovation so that if you want to follow along with that, you can. But I have a lot of videos planned for this winter on like my top 10 cut flowers, my garden plan, and all of that too. So stay tuned for a lot more through the off season. We'll see you soon.